Because I am a woman, many things happen to me. I am cut at a tender age, pulled out of school, married off young, treated like a vermin. I am disrespected, insulted, and oppressed. And all this is okay because I am only a woman. I come from a place where education is sidelined, especially if you are a female. I come from a place where voicing or speaking up is considered not ladylike. But I wish to break the taboo, to break the norm.
ትሰብራለች ከወንድ ልጅ አትለምድም በቃ እንደዚህ አይነት ነገር ሲሉኝ እኔ ጠቃሚ ነገር በቃ ለትዳር ምቹ የሆነ ነገር መስሎ ነበር ምረደውና ያወቅኩት ከዚያን ቀን ጀምሮ ነው ሴት ልጅ ስትዳር ያልተገረዘች ሴት ባል እንደማታገባ ባል ፈታ እንደምትመለስ ካልተገረዘች ነውር እንደሆነ
እኛ ጋር በጣም የሚያስጠላ አገራረዝ ነበር የሚገረዙት እስከ መደፈን ያክል እግራቸው እስከ መታሰር ያህል እንደዛ ነበረ
In Somaliland context, FGM is very high because they believe to protect their girls from the sexual harassment and or rape.
I have these difficulties of giving birth. That's when my doctors told me that I have a hole in my womb that was caused by female genital mutilation.
ለሁላጣጣ ያመጣብን ለተዳር ፍች የሚሆኑ ለወሊድ የሚያስቸግረው በብልት ላይ ጠባሳ የሚፈጥረው የወሲት ፍላጎት መቀነስ የሚያስቸግረው
I feel a searing pain, acute shame and sheer heartache. The itch in my heart that I cannot scratch. My caged mind and shackled soul is numb and feels no more. For my heart is stripped of its glory and pride. And all this is okay because I am only a woman. For I am a woman, I am forced to wear a mask. Smiling in public, hiding behind these walls and lies to this disguise, because I am a woman. See, I'm just a girl who is real, trying to express what I truly feel. They misunderstand and call me cheap, even a freak. That the only guys should express their thing. For a girl good enough, should be discreet. Her decency is determined by her silence. So she stays mute. That way she is seen cute and good. Suppressing her voice and feelings, clipping her wings, killing her dreams, not realizing she only exists but never lived.
In Somaliland, our problem is, as a woman, we can't speak your experience related to FGM publicly. Because if you try that one, your family, your relatives, even your clan, can have some complaints against you.
dafa doon li nga xamantene baaxul ci jigéen gis naa ay gàllankoor yu bari yi nga xamantene mu ngi koy def ci jigéen yi maanaam xale bu jigéen bi bu ñu ko koy def ay saignement yoo xam ne day perdre ay deret boo xam ne kenn xamul kañ la koy jotaat en plus de ça aussi ci saignement dañuy wax day perdre deret mooy saignement day perdre deret bu bari su weesoo si saignement boobu noonu mun na fa jëlee ay handicap gis nañu exemple boobu noonu te am na jigéen yoo xam ne tamit bu ñu leen defee loolu ba pare pour ñu am doom problème la léegi gàllankoor yooyu yëpp man loolu laa gis en tant que survivante man maa ngi koy dund.
Dr. Leila Hussein.
So to give you a little overview on how I got involved in this work, actually it began when my daughter was born. So 21 years ago, I got involved in this movement. And it was for a personal reason. I grew up in the UK, in Europe most of my life, but unfortunately I've undergone female genital mutilation at the age of 7 in Somalia. Actually, let me reframe that. I was subjected to a violence called female genital mutilation, because something I'm really conscious of at the moment is the language we're using when I'm describing my own experience. So I was subjected to violence by my family, in my own home, by medical profession. When my daughter was born, a specialist nurse called Jennifer Bourne, out of all the other health professionals that I've seen during the pregnancy, not one person asked me about undergoing female genital mutilation. And she was the first person to say, Ms. Hussein, can I just check if you I know you're from Somalia. Have you experienced this? And I remember my response. Till now, I remember very clearly, a very blasé response where I said, oh no, I said I didn't have the worst type. I had type 1, less severe type. I had no issues in urinating and intercourse, no problems. And then she proceeded to ask me what was my pregnancy like. And I said, oh my God, I hated it. I hated the whole 9 months. I said I was very depressed. I said I was anxious all the time, especially when they examined me. So there's obviously women who are pregnant are, when they do examination, they do it vaginally. And every time I experienced that, I would black out. And she stopped me at that point. And even though she was a nurse, she was also a psychotherapist. So she was the first person to ever explain to me my body was remembering the trauma. That's why I shut down every time I'm being examined. It was the first time I recognized what happened to me did actually impact me.
Parce que ki nga xamante dañ ko gaañ ba pare nee nañu gaañ mun na tane mais métit bi dina des ci xel métit boobu nag mooy indi li nga xamante ne da koy sonnal toujours da koy xalaat.
Nous savons tous que les mutilations génitales féminines, c'est une violation des droits des filles et c'est une violation à l'endroit de l'appareil génital de la jeune fille. Du coup, ça affecte mentalement et psychologiquement la jeune fille dans la mesure où elle va continuer à penser ces séquelles qui vont tourner à lui, ce que les gens disaient, ces stigmatisations qui sont faites à l'endroit de cette personne.
One of the things around FGMC that we who've worked to support efforts in this area is we note that very often survivors, in other words, those who've experienced FGMC, are very often called upon to share their experiences. They're called upon to be on the front line of efforts to end FGM. And nobody thinks about, but what is the consequence of that? And how are these survivors positioned to engage, especially in these public spaces? So the thing about the Survivor Leadership Initiative that we create and support under the TGG ALM program is to pay attention to some of the consequences of drawing upon survivors. We haven't paid attention to the fact that this was a very traumatizing event in their lives. And yet you're asking them to speak about it without paying attention to what might it mean, because maybe it's being triggered again by just speaking about it.
Trauma is an experience that was too much, too little, too fast, too slow, too soon, or too late. Trauma is not what happens to us, it's what happens inside of us. So each person processes trauma differently.
Coming from a community that practice FGM, I felt that I have a responsibility to protect girls from harmful practices. So that's what motivated me. I didn't want any other girl to go through what I went through.
Storytelling allows people to understand what the issues are, and storytelling pushes the narrative beyond the data, and it brings faces and voices to the forefront.
Yale nilipitia mimi mwenyewe wakati nilipitia tohara ndio ilinifanya nifikirie ni nini naweza fanya watu wa jamii yetu wasipitie kile nilipitia, yale machungu nilipitia.
Our aim is to provide a sustainable emotional support funding for women and girls affected by FGMC, to fill in that gap of survivors' leadership. So we want to really build your capacity. We want to break down the stigma associated with FGMC and emotional well. We really want to create space where mental health is something that's very normalized in this space. 200 million women are now living with this practice. Every 8 seconds, a girl will undergo FGM. So when I say FGM, FGMC, maybe just shout out, what's the first word that comes into your mind?
MGF est une ablation du partie intime de la femme appelée clitoris. Par conséquent, ça peut causer la mort, l'infection, la perte de sang, des règles douloureuses, des difficultés d'accouchement, des traumatismes, la stérilité, etc.
Women are seen as objects. That is how our patriarchal culture sees women, that needs to to be told you have to remain a virgin so that you can be used later.
It makes my heart really bleed, because there are so many girls out there who don't have the information that they need. They don't know that that which is being done to them is wrong. They just think it's something that is normal. They think it's something that everyone goes through.
I feel sad about the community. Sometimes I feel low.
I feel a lot of anger.
This is how we react by experiencing FGM. One is shock. Why wouldn't you be shocked about what you went through? Anger. You have every right to be angry. Anxiety. Because we were threatened as children. I mean, we could have died. Sadness, depression, grief. And the most common one that all of us in this room can share is shame.
In our community, you are not, as a woman, you are not supposed to cry. As a woman, you're supposed to hide your feelings. You are supposed to be like, I am strong, I cannot cry in front of people.
I acknowledge my pain, my trauma, and I let it go.
So an important aspect of our SLT or Survivor initiative is to provide them with the types of leadership skills that will facilitate and enable and strengthen their ability to engage on these diverse platforms that are usually called upon. We bring first attention to self-care, to mental health, right? All the things that are generally not talked about or spoken about. And in some instances, even just responding to the physical trauma itself of experiencing FGM.
C'est important de faire tout ce qui est psychothérapie, donc de guérir de ces traumatismes et de mettre en place toute une manière de prendre soin de soi et pour maintenir en fait cet équilibre.
ማህበረሰቡ ሁሉ እያንዳንዱ እጅ በማውጣት የራስህን ታሪክ ስታካፍል ሁሉም ማህበረሰብ እያወጣ እኔም እንዲህ ነኝ እየተባለ የተወሰነ ከበፊቱ ይሄ ድርጅት ከመጣ ወዲህ አሁን ለውጥ እየመጣ ነው ብዬ ነው የማምነው።
መጀመሪያ ከራስ ስለሚጀምር ታሪክን ስንናገር ራሳችን እነሱ የበለጠ ይገባቸዋል። ለኛ አይጠቅመንም። ለካ እነሱ ከእንትናቸው እንደዚህ ስለሆኑ እኛም ደግሞ እንደዚህ ማድረግ የለብንም በሚል ሐሳባቸውን ይቀይራሉ ማለት ነው።
I learned and my sisters from Ethiopia a very great lesson. Previously, as a Somali community, we thought a Muslim community would do FGM. They believe to do as a religion. But I saw in this training, survivor leadership training, our sisters who believe in other religion, like Christians, and still they are doing FGM. It's a cultural issue. It is to convince the men. This girl is a virginity. It's a pure. It's a clean like that.
I think the reason why emotional well-being and psychotherapy is important for frontline activists is because, first of all, they are at the front line, right? And they are trying to support people who are traumatized as well, possibly. So the possibility of experiencing secondhand trauma is much higher than any other, work. I feel like one cannot pour from an empty cup, and if they, take care of themselves, they can just do better at the job that they are, committed to doing.
We are the girl generation, support to the Africa-led movement to end FGM. So our work really is to continue to offer support to various community engagement groups and to various individuals that work towards ending FGM. The intended impact of this program is to accelerate, is to push for the reduction of ending FGM in Kenya, Somaliland, Senegal and Ethiopia, at least by 2027.
We are trying to learn, what works, in terms of engaging survivors, what to do, what not to do. We want to document these lessons and then share these lessons with the broader End FGM movement, share these lessons with governments, with media, with CSOs, with anyone who interacts with survivors, so that we can ensure that survivors are free, are safe, are dignified, and that when they're telling their stories, they do that in a supporting and validating environment.
So our program, I believe, is making a really critical and important contribution to survivors.
You know, I came into this space, it was, let's end FGM and this is terrible, to, oh my God, FGM is a global issue. And what makes it even more in a wider global setting, it's FGM is actually an issue that needs to be pinned under violence against women and girls. It's a gender-based violence, it's child abuse. Touching a child's genitalia by an adult is a serious sexual assault. So one of my favorite success stories of SOT is a woman called Mumina. Mumina was part of our first, the group that we trained right at the beginning of SOT. What she's really done is really taken that tool and implemented it in her county. What she did is she created a safe space for mothers and daughters around forgiveness. But what she recognized from the training, in order for forgiveness to happen, we need to acknowledge the violence that's actually happened. So she really created this support group where mothers apologize to their daughters listen to the pain the mothers have endured. And one of the daughters is an amazing artist whose work has been exhibited using art as a way of healing. So when I hear those stories, what it demonstrates to all of us, it's that a small funding, little bit of money, can make a very long impact. Because what we're doing is, so now imagine what that young artist, how she will raise her daughter. And that's really what we need to keep envisioning.
It gives me real pleasure to say that we've seen incredible confidence on their part when they participate in forums, when they speak in forums. And in Kenya, we have one who took up the role of member of the county assembly, which was a huge plus. And we have another one who has joined the USAID's Youth Advisory Board. Right? So in other words, those are really good examples of building and having a new self-confidence to occupy those kinds of platforms and positions.
ሀሳቡን በነፃ ለመግለጽ ያለውን ችግር ደግሞ ከጓደኞቻችን ጋር በግልጽ መነጋገርን በስዕልም በብዙ ነገርኛ መለወጥ እንዳለብን አክቹሊ ከገባልን ወዲህ ለውጥ እየመጣ ነው ብዬንም ማምነው ተሞክሮም አለ አሁንም ለወደፊት ዘላቂው ዜሮ መድረስ አለበት በቃ መቆም አለበት ነው ብዬም ማምነው እኔም ለቀጣይም ያለኝን የተነሳሽነት ይሄው ነው ልክ እንደኛ ያላወቁትም እንዲያውቁ እርዳታ እንዲደረግላቸው ተመሳስለው እንዲኖሩ በቃ አገዛ እንዲደረግላቸው አስተላልፋለሁ በቃ ያለፈው አልፏል አስከፊነቱ ጎጅነቱን ሳናውቅ ነው ይሄ ድርጊት የተፈጸመ ያለው ከትውልድ እየተሸጋገረ የመጣ በመሆኑ ይያልት የምክር አገልግሎት እየሰጠው ለወደፊቱ ግን የሚወለዱ ልጆቻቸውንም ወይም ያካባቢ ሊሆን ይችላል ሴት ልጅን መገረዝ እንደሌለባቸው የምክር አገልግሎት እንዲያደርጉ እንዲሰጡ
I need to be emotionally stable so that I can also support other girls out there.
Une fois c'est moi dans ma localité, j'essaierai de démultiplier la formation que j'ai eue, les connaissances que j'ai eues à acquérir ici au niveau de cette formation. Je vais convoquer les autres survivantes pour expliquer l'importance dans notre société. Je vais essayer aussi de détailler le leadership féminin et l'importance aussi des yoga.
For you to be able to give out, for you to be able to, embrace another person, for you to be able to take care of another person, you must take care of yourself.
What really stood out for me in this training is, and I know how great women are, but coming to this training, I just realized I thought I understood how great women are. But through this training, I realized they're even greater than I ever thought them to be. And for sure, from now on, I think that the word alchemist and women can be interchangeably used because women continuously, without fail, continue to transform their pain into something so beautiful, like from base metal to gold. That's what they're doing.
And also I appreciate options, and also I appreciate this design of trainings, survival leadership training, and also the exchange of the culture, stories, experience, knowledge, and also even personal and learning, all that things. So I'm very happy, and also I appreciate Options and also other team who are working and supporting. So the option is to conduct this amazing training.